What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. We have some more, not surprising, RSX content here today. I'm actually going to be installing these power stop brakes that I ordered. They're I'll put the part numbers in the description, but I think that's the middle tier. So I'm going to be doing them on the gray car actually, because this thing needs brakes. I can hear it when I turn. They feel a little bit like spongy when I am trying to stop. I just want a better upgrade, you know, something that this car needs. I've been driving it a lot. I mean, not as much with this heat. I gotta do the AC in this thing still, but I'm gonna be doing the brakes today. And as you may notice here, got myself a little something for the gray car. Kind of a spontaneous purchase. So we'll get to what this is in a little bit, right? So first I wanna do the brakes on the car. Right here are the rotors. These are probably the fronts. Here should be the same thing, more rotors. Here's the pads, carbon fiber, ceramic pads. I'm hoping they give off a lot less dust than what my current ones are. Comes in new slides, pads. Let's see what's in this box here. Probably the same thing. Yep. New rubber bushings, new clips, grease, and pads. Perfect. So that's the ones there. Z23 carbon fiber ceramic brake pads. I have one step up that is like, I don't know, I think they're like 80 or 90 more dollars, but I was reading online, people said they're a little better for like the track. But they're the same compound as these. They just have a sort of like the backing is metal, I think. It's a little different. They said they're a little noisier, but it's the same compound. So I decided to go with these. They are supposedly a little quieter, same compound, so it should be pretty good. But we're going to be putting all four on, front and back, and then I'm going to see how the car drives. So hopefully it does pretty good. You know, I'd like the car to stop better than what it does. And then if we have time, might not be the same video, but I would like to see how these are kind of messed up. So that's not for me. I bought them like that. I want to try and just sand the outside lip down and get rid of that and just paint them. Not trying to get these powder coated. I really didn't pay a lot for these wheels, and this car is, I wouldn't say a budget build, but I'm not trying to go like crazy with it. So if we have time today while the wheels are off, maybe I'll take them outside, sand them, spray them. We'll see. But today for sure we're doing the brakes. So let me get this jacked up, get some jack stands underneath here. Let's start with the front of the car and then we'll move to the back. All right, guys, so we're about to get started here on the brakes. So what you're gonna need, depending on what your lug nut size, mine's a 17, take the wheels off. Now you're gonna change to a 14, which I have right here. Sorry for the lighting, it's a little bright. And what I wanna do is take this bolt and this bolt out. They're connected to the back side of this. There are two 14 millimeter bolts right there. Now from there, you should be able to just slide this piece off. I need two hands to do this, so 1 second. All right, so we got the actual caliper off here. So now we can get access to the brake pads. I mean, these aren't terribly low, but you know, still in need of replacing. So to take this bracket off, back here you see that one and that one. I believe they are 17s, so right here, boop, and then this bracket will come right off. So let's do that now. All right, so once you take those two bolts out, the 17s, this whole bracket here will come off along with the pads. So you're gonna be reusing the bracket. Your kit, the kit I ordered comes with new clips, so we're gonna be replacing these as well. So here's the old pads. They're not like terribly low, but they're giving off a ton of dust. and they make noise a little bit. So let's see, is there a date on here? 2016. Yeah, these are garbage, need to get replaced. So now that the bracket is off, I put the caliper up here just so it doesn't fall, and you don't want to let it dangle on the line for the brake line. So now that you got to this part, put the caliper, I'm gonna stick it right here. Now, if you have factory rotors, there's gonna be like a little screw here, but somebody has done these at one point, 2016. So that should just come right off. Boom. Now we have access to the hub. So we're just gonna slap the new rotor on and then put the new pads in this bracket once I've changed out these clips, and then put it back together. So now we gotta get up and go get the kit. Right, so these actually come labeled, super easy to know like which one goes where. So on the rotor itself here, it's gonna say front driver side. That's how you know this is the one for the front driver. And then obviously the bigger pads are going to be for the front, and then the smaller is going to be for the back. Pads, clips, and new rubber sleeves. If you want to replace those, they're on the caliper. So we're going to slap this on and then get to putting it back. It's literally just the reverse order of what you just did. So I'll still show you guys how to change the things over, but it's pretty simple. All right, so to change out these, they might be like stuck into here, right? Might be stuck, but you can literally just pull it right out. So this is actually still looks pretty good. It's got plenty of grease on it, so I'm not gonna add any more to it. So what you're gonna do is literally just push this piece off and try not to get your hands all full of grease, and then you can change it out with one of these. All right, so to change these out, here's an old one on here right now. Literally just, see how nasty this thing is? Just give it a pull. I gotta do it with two hands, but literally you can just pull it out. And then to put the new one on, I found it easier to just stick the rubber piece in here first, and then you just put it back in here, right? And then push it all the way in, and just use your fingers to seal the gap. I found that to be the easiest way to replace this. So now we're going to do the same over here and then change these clips. All right, so that's how it looks with the new clips on there. Literally super easy to just pop in and out. I mean, you might have to use like a hammer just to like gently tap it in there, but they fit really well. Overall, no issues. Bolted the bracket back in place now. So now we're going to move on to putting the pads in here. They are right here. So it has each side. All right, I just double checked my footage. I was pretty sure that it was wrong. So this, with the piece sticking out, you want to go in the back, because obviously you don't want this like sticking out piece here to hit your wheel. So what you're gonna do is put this on the back with the sensor. I think it's like it's like a noise chime, right? When the brake pad gets to a certain point, you start to hear this rubbing against the rotor, and that's how you know it's bad. So this is going to go on the back side, and then the other pad without it is going to go on the front side. So what I'm going to do here is, it's up to you guys. If you want, you can grease this little part here, so that way it slides back and forth, because when you take your foot on and off the caliper, it's going to slide, right? So you can either put just a tiny little pinch of grease there, and then I like to put some on the back here, and then literally just bolt it back in. Right here, you got to make sure this is fully compressed, which it almost is, but we're going to make sure it's all the way in before we put it back on. You just want to make sure the caliper is all the way open so you can put it back on. But so far, everything fits really well. Let's just put a little bit of grease on and slap these pads in here. All right, so now to collapse the caliper, I tend to use something like this. Should work for what I need it to do. I'd like to have a bigger one. They make like a caliper tool for it, but I don't think it's super necessary, so we're just gonna rock this one. Shouldn't be too bad. Now all I'm gonna do is go in here, and then take this here. You see, this is already pretty good. I mean, I might even just leave it, but you want to put, let me put this here so it's not on the ground. You want to put one part of the tool here on this lip and one back here and just squeeze this so it's all the way in. But it looks pretty good. I might not even have to do it, but that's how you're going to do it if you need to. If this is like sticking out to here, that's a problem. So normally this comes out quite a bit more when you do your brakes. This caliper could have a little bit of seizing going on, but or they painted it might just be getting stuck a little bit. But looks to me like it should be pretty good. In the car, like it stops all right, you know, it's just the brakes were pretty worn out. So hopefully this caliper doesn't need to be replaced, but we're gonna just give it a go. All right guys, so I was able to get this to go all the way in. It collapsed right where you want it, pretty much flush. So that looks great. This bracket I already bolted back in. So now the next piece of the puzzle here is to just put the caliper back on. So we're just gonna, I gotta use two hands, but literally just push these in so you can get the caliper to sit on the correct side of it. And then just bolt it back in and then you're literally all done. So I greased this here. I put a little bit in the slide. You know, it looks pretty good. The caliper collapsed nice. So we're just going to use two hands here quick and put this on. Alrighty, and we're all done. She's bolted back together. No issues at all. All the clips went really smooth. No issues. The bracket lined up. The pads lined up. The rotor looks great. I'm going to end up repainting these calipers at some point. But for now, looks pretty good. Much better than that crap that was on there. So much needed upgrade on this car. So we have the driver side done. This is the driver side. I'm not going to film the passenger side because it's literally the same thing. Just repeat this process on the other side and then pretty much good to go. But I will film the rear. The rear is pretty much the same ordeal. It's just smaller and that's it. You know, it's pretty much smaller. So I'm going to go do the other side while I have the front of the car up in the air, right? Go do the other side and then put the car down in the front, jack the rear up, and then I'll film the rear. But like I said, in the meantime, I'm going to be doing a little side quest on these wheels out here. So before I even started this, I filmed something else a little separately just for like the TikTok, Instagram thing. So these wheels were actually curbed pretty bad. And I sanded all this down with the angle grinder. And then I used some sandpaper to kind of smooth it over. There was a really bad divot. I smoothed it out. All right, I did the same thing over here. So I'm just going to tape off those wheels and try and paint them myself, honestly, because I'm not paying for powder coat, you know. So I literally just used angle grinder, some wheel cleaner, some water, cleaned them, you know. So I'm going to tape those off and get a first layer of paint and then jump in, finish the passenger side brakes on this, and then I'll film the rear. And then I'll hopefully by the end of the video I can show you how those look. Just a little side quest. We're about to start the rear brakes here. I lost my hat again somehow. Working on cars, the hat and the heat is just not the vibe. But we're on the rear section now. It's a little bit different. I think the bolts for the caliper may be smaller, so 14 here. Yeah, too big. I believe these are a 12. So 12 for that, and then the bolts for the bracket back here. Oh, that's going to be a pain to get to. Those might be a 14. Let me see if I can get to the one. Yeah. So those are 14. And then this one up top is going to be probably a 12. Let me grab a socket for that. So got a 12 here. See if the short 12 will probably work here. Now I might not be able to use my big impact in this small area. So I'm going to grab my battery ratchet, I think, because there's not a lot of room in here. Well, after a lot of hammering, it finally came out. These look like they have not been changed in I don't know, forever. This is super messed. This is super like corroded. I literally just had to hammer the piss out of it to get this caliper off. So hopefully the rest of the bolts aren't like super frozen, but they probably will be. Now that this is out of the way, I do have access to the bottom bolt though, so that is a bonus. Yeah, so we're just gonna take this bracket off now. It's pretty much the same thing as the front, just different sizes. So undo the 2 back bolts and we'll take this off. All right, we got the new rotor on, real easy. These are the old pads, literally nothing left, smoked. This one's same thing, nothing left. So the new ones are here. It comes with all the stuff, just like the front one, to replace the grommets and all the clips. All right, so I just remembered something doing these rear calipers. You can't actually use this tool. These are a rotational type, so for these, you gotta put like a flathead or a screwdriver or whatever in the center, like this, and rotate it back inward. So I might have to grab a different one because this one's not the right size. But literally, you just stick something in the middle here, or you can use like vice grips or whatever, and you want to rotate this clockwise back in. So I'm gonna do that in a second here. Right now I'm trying to put these together. So this is how it sits in here. You replace these 2, and then the big one right here goes in the caliper like that. So I'm gonna do all that in a second. Let me just get this piece rotated back in. So quick tip, if you guys don't have the correct tool to do the rear caliper to get it to spin in, I put a vice grip around it. Make sure you don't hit the like little rubber boot. Now the problem is when this is unbolted and you try to turn it, this moves around, right? So put like a flathead or some shit in here to hold the caliper in place, and then turn it with the vice grip. I can't show you because I can't hold the phone, the camera, and do this. But basically, put this in the slot here, and then put a vice grip on it, and then you can rotate the caliper back in. So that's what I'm doing now because I don't have the tool for it. Should only take a couple more minutes, but that's the way to do it without the tool. All right, everybody, that's the finished product here on the rear install. Looks pretty good. All the brackets lined up. I'm gonna throw some touch-up paint on that. But everything lined up. You know, it was a little bit of a struggle trying to get the piece to rotate back in, but like I said, just use a vice grip and stick the screwdriver in there and you'll have no issues. Next, the last thing you gotta do, I already did it in the front, you gotta take some brake clean and just wipe down the surface of the rotor because they come coated with like a material, I don't know, it's like some sort of coating on there. So take some brake clean and just wipe down the face of the rotor before you go drive the car. I mean, it's not like a necessary step, but I'd recommend doing it. So I'm gonna do that now and then hop to the other side, finish that. And then I still have those wheels outside over there getting dried because I painted them. So I just threw these on the front because I was curious if they would fit. And well, as you can see, we are kind of maxed out there. It's like basically sitting on the fender. Those are the wheels off of my other RSX, which has a wide body kit and is turbocharged. So they're not really meant for the stance car, but I just wanted to see how they would fit. I'm going to put them in the rear as well, just for shits and giggles to see if it'll clear. If not, I mean, I have a lot of camber in the back, so they might fit because I tuck in the rear on the stretch tire. So I'm going to lower it slow and see if they will clear or not. If not, I'm just going to stop. But, you know, just messing around. Let me put this back together, do the other side, then throw those wheels in the back, and then we'll get her outside. All right, everybody, we're about to go take a test drive here, see how the brakes feel. Got myself changed, took a shower, ate some dinner. Literally been out grinding all day. I was at work, and then I was doing this for most of the day. So we're going to take this thing out now and see how she does. The wheels and paint dried pretty fast, actually. So, yeah, let's go take a quick rip, let it warm up for a minute, and see how the brakes feel. All right, guys, slight issue. You guys hear that? It sounds like one of the pads is getting stuck to the rotor. I don't know if that's issue on my end or if it's the kit that I bought, but it's really loud. Like, I'm not even touching the brakes and I'll hear it could be because they're brand new, but it's very loud. Even when I'm like off the brakes, it's very loud. And then on top of that, when I stab the brakes to the stop, the car stops great. It stops very quickly when I hit the brakes. It's just really loud. It's like it might just because they're brand new and they have to wear in a little bit. I'm hoping that's the case. Other than that, they stop great. We're gonna check for the dust as I pull up my driveway now, but making that issue. So let's get out and check it. Super off. It's like the car pulled to the right really hard on me when I was just cruising. So I had the alignment done, and it's not like the alignment shouldn't be bad. I literally just had it done. So yeah, and I noticed a lot of vibration when I'm just cruising, which is odd because I didn't change anything really. I painted the wheels, but I didn't do anything else besides put the wheel back on, you know, and do the brakes. So definitely some brake dust, you know. Hopefully it's nothing too crazy, you know. I mean, it's definitely got a good amount of dust. I was hoping it would be less, but like I said, that's literally the first drive go around on these new rotors and pads, and the old setup's been on there for a long time. But when I did stop, like, the car stopped really good. I even locked the tires up. I pressed the brake so hard it like locked the tires up. So I'm hoping that it's just a wear issue, but it still doesn't explain my vibration. So I'm gonna double check my wheels real quick, and then we'll wrap up the video. Hey guys, welcome back. Quick intermission. It's a few days later. I figured out the issue with my car, why it was making the noise, why it was pulling me, why it was vibrating. So literally nothing to do with the pads and rotors. The car drives beautifully now. Turns out that behind the rotor on the hub itself, there was like a buildup of, like, it looks like somebody tack welded something to the hub, and it was creating a like space between the hub and the rotor, so the rotor was like pushed out, and that's what the noise that I was hearing was. So I took an angle grinder. I went over to Barn Built Motorsports, Bernie's house, and we took an angle grinder to it, grinded it down, and then the rotor was able to sit flush against the hub, and that way the pads weren't rubbing on the clips or anything. That was why the noise was so horribly loud. So that fixed that issue. The car brakes perfectly now. I'm driving it now. I just slammed on the brakes, no noise. Car drives excellent. So, oh my God, this road is really bad. Oh my God. Anyways, look at this horrible road. Look at this. Oh my God. Anyways, second issue, the lock collar for the coilover came loose, and that was my vibration because the strut itself was like moving while I was driving, and that was my vibration. It must have just came loose on its own after I drove it. I mean, the car is pretty slammed, and these roads are really bad, so it does explain why it might have come loose. But we're back in action. She drives freaking awesome, no issues whatsoever. Shout out to Bernie at Barn Built Motorsports. He's the plug. So I originally went there to get the wheels balanced because I thought it was a balance issue, and we discovered the like goo behind the rotor. It was like a buildup of like metal, and we discovered that the top, like the lock collar, came loose, and now the car drives excellent. So I ended up, they sent me a new set of pads and rotors just to be safe. So that was really cool. I talked to the representative at Power Stop, and they're like, hey, if you need anything, like, just contact us, we'll send you another pair. So they sent me another set. I'm gonna have to call them back and let them know I don't actually need it. which is great because I really didn't want to do that all over again. But car drives great, no issues whatsoever. They said that, I did mention before, there's a lot of brake dust. They said after like 200 miles, like, or give or take, that'll go away. That's just like the car breaking in. So yeah, I'm happy that she's running really great. The car stops really great. There's no like loud noises or anything, and good to go. So really happy with that. You know, I'll keep you guys updated on the brake dust, see if that gets any better for me, but the noise is gone and my vibration's gone and the car drives great. So I thought you guys would appreciate giving a little update on like what was going on. It wasn't anything on Power Stop's end, it was on my end. I took the set screw out and I figured that, you know, why would there be like a tack weld behind the rotor? I did notice that it was like not sitting correctly, but I thought that was because I don't normally run a set screw. I use the wheel to keep the rotor in place. So I thought that might have been why it was a little wobbly, but turns out it was like just it was like an 1/8 inch buildup of metal behind. I should have took a picture of it, but there was a buildup behind the rotor, and that's why it wasn't sitting flat and it was giving me all these issues. So yeah, we're on our way back to the house. I'm really happy. The brakes are nice and quiet. The car drives great. So that's pretty much going to do it for today's video. I hope you guys learned something, appreciated it, maybe learned a thing or two. You know, if you're having the same issue with the noise, just make sure your rotor is sitting flat. Check around the hub, see if there's anything preventing it. And then, yeah, so more videos coming soon. I got a bunch of stuff for this car. The black car is going to be done for paint pretty soon. And then H-Day is right around the corner. So thanks for watching. Please like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see y'all in the next one. Peace.
Yo